Broadcasting live each week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. from Fishbowl Studios.
Log on to hear us speaking the facts on current events, family, and finances.
So be sure to log on each week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. to catch Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR.
Tune in.
What's up, y'all? We are back, and although the promo, the intro said Tuesday at 7.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Actually, as we said last week, we have moved to Wednesday, and with the assistance of Gabe over there on the Knobs and Faders, we will be re-recording our intro after the show. So next week it will say Wednesday, but it is Wednesday. Don't get confused.
That's right. That's right.
So, and again, this is Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR. And of course, I am JR, and on the other end is my co-host, my daughter Charlie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Dad?
I'm above ground, so it's
We
all
made
good.
it.
We made it. Yeah, we made it. It's been an interesting day.
Yes.
We got the AKA the fly guy and the fly girls, although there's only one fly girl here this
That's
week.
it. That's
I am the fly guy, AKA don't call it a comeback, because I've been fly.
He been flying.
And that's Fly Money over there.
AKA his daughter.
And our producer Kim, the third fly girl, she's out partying this week, and
Yeah,
she didn't invite us. Huh?
I'll probably out riding her bike. That's what I heard.
Oh,
We'll ask her about that next week.
Oh, okay, yeah. We're gonna have to get the permission slip from her.
Exactly. She can bring an excuse on why she was not here. No.
That's right. So this week we wanted to talk about just a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship, and because that's something that I know that a lot of women and men need to hear about and talk about. And since being transparent, as Dr. C would say, being transparent, since neither of the hosts of this show have really had a long-standing marriage. We've had our bouts, but we're still in training.
That's true.
So we thought we would bring in some professionals.
That's right.
Somebody that's been down the road. Somebody that can tell you a thing or two. Without having to make it up like I would have to. So. Without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Wilbur Dawson and Keisha Dawson. How y'all doing?
Fine, thank you.
Well.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And so we just, and y'all been married, what, 25 years?
We'll be on June
Let
5th.
me get a little applause on that, guys. Yeah, we need to get a little applause on that.
I love it, and that's it's huge. And I've been reading. I shouldn't say. Let me take that back because it's about transparency. I've been listening to a lot of ebooks here while I'm in the car, and one of the things they talked about that I'm listening to right now is happiness. And so, believe it or not, they say 60% of happiness is truly genetic. Meaning that it's in your genetic makeup that you would be born to be a happy person, a happy thinker. And so maybe you guys both have that happiness gene in your genetics to where it was just a natural thing. That means that the 40% of the other people have to work to become happy. They have to learn how to become happy. And so I think, marriages that are long standing, I honestly believe it is genetic. You just met the right person who has that right genetic to be happy and be willing to say, you know what, hey, it's a decision, it's a choice. It's not always good times, but it's going to be a decision and a choice to be happy.
It is a choice to be happy. I say that all the time. No one makes you happy. No one makes you sad. No one makes you anything. Those are our responses to situations and circumstances that are going on in our life. And the glass is always half empty or half full, depending upon how we choose to see it. So but without further, and by the way, we are we've had repast on the show the past few weeks. This week we are enjoying Mr. Jim's Pizza. So I wanted to. In fact, this is the Mr. Jim's in Hurst. I forgot the address, but I told them that I would mention them. So this is the Mr. Jim's in Hurst. We are going to be enjoying their pizza along with various tasty beverages. So
So let's talk about happiness. then.
yes, let's talk about, well, let's just have you guys, and either, I want to get it from the male and the female perspective, because,
Well,
because.
whose perspective is better?
Well,
I won't say that. Oh, no.
Now we gotta get in the middle of the street with the 6 minutes.
The Y coming on the X coming on,
I know, right?
So, who's Andy? Who's going first? Either one.
I feel that happiness, of course, as you said, happiness is a choice. Happiness, most people tend to refer as happiness being based on happenings, though.
Right.
But joy is something that is not based on happiness.
Mhm.
Happenings.
Right.
It is just based on what your soul based is, what your faith based is, what your belief system is.
Right,
And so joy can't be taken away.
right,
Happiness can be based on happenings if you let it.
right, yeah.
But as far as it being attached to marriage, we hit the ground running
Mhm.
because 2 months, just 2 months after we were married, I was on crutches in a wheelchair. It
Oh,
was
wow.
that quick.
Wow.
And so if we had let that happening determine our happiness, we may not be here.
That's correct, yeah.
But our faith base and our covenant to one another
Mhm.
dictated differently.
Right,
That my husband, despite what I was going through, despite all the pain, all the medication, and it was a long road, a 13-year long road.
oh, wow.
But, and as I said, it hit us fast.
Right,
The newlywed stage that we would have wanted to capture, ours was quite different
Right,
than
yeah.
most people's.
exactly.
But our faith and our love for each other
Mhm.
helped us to stay strong.
That's very, very powerful, You had to get to work. Marriage is work, but.
You had to get to work right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your vows are, it covers all of that, instincts and in health, so you guys got to that, started
Faster.
Exactly. But then also it created a bond, and that's something that is very important, it created, I hate to call it a need versus a want, but a marriage is something that I had to say that you have to want, but you actually have to want it, and if you don't want it, then it's not,
It's not going to
Then you won't need it.
You won't need
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Look at
Cause and
me,
effect.
I'm giving a little.
Philosophizing over there.
Yes, the cause and effect.
So, Mr. Dawson, give us your intro to happiness in married life.
Well, happiness is, I do agree, it's a choice. You have to choose to be happy. And I think a good reminder is you have to be able to find happiness and joy in the little things. You can't necessarily, base it just on the big things in life or what are maybe the common things that I think sometimes that people may think that brings happiness. So you choose to be happy and you can choose to be unhappy.
Mhm.
And you have to choose to work and choose to go through it. Sacrifice is a big part of it. So sacrifice and happiness, it don't seem to go together because sacrifice has a connotation of suffering and going through things. But if you're doing it, it's like anything. It's like one can identify with this, like exercise and working out. You're breaking that thing down, but it's going to come back stronger.
That's right.
So these things help to make you stronger when you go through them. And you can see the benefits of it, and you see, hey, and then you can find the happiness. It's like people who start off working out and like it's killing you, you're sore, and this thing, you're starting to like it and you love the field, and like, hey, so you look at it in a positive way
Right.
instead of a negative way even when it comes. You can see the storm coming, or it's right there in the midst of it, but you still can have a smile on your face and find some joy, peace, and happiness in the midst of that storm.
I want to, before I ask y'all any deeper questions, I just want to commend you both. I had no idea that you got that sick within 2 months of getting married. And so for those who may be watching or listening, this is real talk, you know what I'm saying? Because I know people that have walked away from a marriage for far less than someone being ill. you know,
That's true.
and a lot quicker than 2 months,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, so this is, you know, this is food for the soul that we're talking about here, because you're looking at triumph, you know, you're looking at redemption, you know, you're looking at a lot of things sitting here with these two. You're looking at, you know, just more than a second chance. You know, you're looking at just being able to overcome. And that's what it takes to have a relationship, or really any kind. You have to be able to overcome, because there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that are going to get in the way. You know. So, and you know what? Keisha told me that right before we went on the air that you are a poet. So I wanted to divert for just a moment. And you have a laureate or a poet name.
Yes, my poetry name is The Unnamed Lyricist, and
Okay.
I've been on a few shows before here on Fishbowl in the past, and have enjoyed being here and glad to be back again.
Yes, excellent, excellent.
So let me ask you, Wilbur, because you know your wife got sick very early on in your relationship, and I know that prayer and faith were at the foundation of you being able to see your way through, you know, see past the circumstance. But just talk a little bit, if you will, about the you know, having to the things that you had to ignore in order to stand on your faith. You know, because in order to stand somewhere, you got a lot of things go by you, and you have to let them go by in order to stand. You know, in order to, the Bible talks about being rooted, so that we're like, you know, so that we're wheat and not chaff. So obviously you were wheat, you know. So just talk about a little bit about being that wheat and what, you know, and what you went through.
Oh, yeah, it was. I went through a lot. When you go through something like that, you have to be strong to go through a storm like that, because it can change your thinking, it'll challenge your faith, it'll challenge your manhood. I had men and women both, family members, friends, that even to this day, that I have a different level of respect for, because they told me that they could not do it. And some asked me why was I doing it, and some asked me and encouraged me to walk away from her at the time, because again, you're talking about something, you know, it started off 3 months after that, but within 6 months after our marriage, she couldn't walk at all.
Yeah.
And so, and we were both athletes and
dancers.
exercised all the time, and we did a lot of stuff like that, very active throughout the community, so it changed our life.
Yeah.
And so what you heard from the outside really messed with you, particularly when it comes to people of faith and the people that we looked up to.
People that are supposed to be.
They're supposed to be people of faith.
Yeah.
Supposed to be.
Yes.
And you
I
hear
like
things
it.
like, I couldn't do it. And then you had that, and then you had people try to encourage you to walk away or do something different. You had women that would try to get you to fall because they said, hey, but we know she can't walk and all this stuff that, you know, and so it can be challenging that way from temptation that would come to the table. So it changed your thinking, even a very high, those who don't know, I am a minister. There was a high position that they wanted me for, and they actually took me out, wine and dime and stuff, and these are church leaders that encouraged me that, you know, we can have some great places that we want to take you. We feel you can take us great, but we feel like your wife can't come with us.
Man, and that breaks my heart to hear that it does, because you know, I know it broke yours, but it breaks my heart to hear that, because you know, the Bible tells us what love is.
Oh yeah.
It says, you know, it says that love endures.
Yeah.
You know, and so for people of faith to encourage you not to endure, that's pretty deep. Charlie, ask him a question or two, because we have Mr. Jim Speechless sitting here, and I'm going to become, you know, the maitre d'.
Okay, so one of the words that just pops out for me, and in talking to a lot of people who have been going through things lately, the word is strong.
Yes.
It seems simple, but we all know the meaning behind it, you know,
Yes.
to have the strength. But, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, I'm not so strong, you know, and they have to go back to what's going to give them their strength to stay strong through those trying situations, you know. And this doesn't have with relationships, even with yourself, you know. You have to treat yourself good so you can so you can treat someone else good. So he had to in that time, you know, be strong enough for him so he could be strong enough for you.
True.
You know,
True.
so like, and this may just even be like on the minister side of it. I mean, how do you guys define your strength? How do you define, you know, having that strength and being strong enough to go through any situation?
Well, wow, strength. I mean, it takes strength every day just to, as particularly battling our situation. Because at the same time that he was trying to be so strong for me, I was trying to be strong for him, being newlyweds, and we had just graduated from college probably just a year prior. So career goals and things of that nature, things that we were anticipating on going forth with, thank you, got delayed. And so that's when you know you truly have to have strength, and you have to know where your strength comes from. Many people have various sources, but I can only speak from ourselves or myself, and that, oh no, thank you, the strength of the Lord that kept us. Even in the midst of some of our hard times, I went back to work in my wheelchair, and we did missionary work, and I was still in my wheelchair in an apartment community. So that took a lot of strength from support from him, but within myself to just be determined that I was not going to stop. And moreover, I didn't want to, when you can't do what you really want to do and you're impeded by something, you feel like you're also letting that other person down as well. So my endeavor, I became even more demonstrative in trying to pursue what I could for us. But it never felt like enough because it didn't look like I wanted it to look like.
Gotcha.
So strength took on a whole different look.
Yeah.
It didn't look like what I wanted it to look like. It looks very different from a wheelchair. From a seated position than a standing position, both mentally and physically.
And I can say that now, when this is back when I was pregnant with my third child, I've been active forever, amen. And one day I went for my normal checkup, and the doctor said, so we're gonna put you in a wheelchair, we're gonna wheel you across the hall, and they actually put me in I was stuck in a hospital bed on complete bed rest for 30 days. So I understand what you say, what it's not looking like. And so I feel like it's not until you actually have to sit down and watch life go around without you. Life moves without you. As important as you think you are, life moves on. That's correct. Life moves on. And you realize that you're not as important as you thought you were. You know, you're not as valuable as you thought you were. You always like you're invaluable. You always like you're the best. But at the end of the day, if you're not there and you're not able to complete that task, then you don't feel it.
You really don't.
And so it was at that time that I really learned what it was meant to be invaluable. And I had to be invaluable, I had to be strong enough and have the strength for myself. So that way, when I allowed myself to entertain any situation, whatever it may be, that I knew that what I was bringing was what I wanted to bring. So therefore, I wouldn't deplete myself. And so that's kind of, so I understand about what, having a seat and looking at something and really not being able to see it as you want to see it and see it from a sitting position. It's really, you're not having a choice, and it goes back to your faith. And that's, what carries you through, because I was just like, I don't know if Dad, if you remember that, but I was in my hospital bed and trying to do what I could, and I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't get there.
You can't operate in your norm. I started to navigate an automatic wheelchair. That was quite a challenge. I tore up a few walls in the house, but I had a pretty good coach, because he encouraged me, it's gonna be okay. He got in it first and navigated it first, and said, okay, now you can do it. And so I became a better driver. I didn't get a ticket. But truly have become more of an advocate for those that may not ever get out of that wheelchair, which is, people really be kind to think about them. A wheelchair is almost like a part of someone's body. If
Correct.
you lean on it, if you do stuff it's like you're leaning on their person.
Right.
When you're in an elevator and you're pressed up against them, you have to think about their
Yeah.
vantage point.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sidebar, but just a shout out there to those that have been in the game for a long time.
Right.
And, just be mindful of them.
Yeah, I always, when I see somebody in a wheelchair, it's like, I on purpose make sure I speak and I make eye contact and say hello and answer. Because so many people act like they can't see a person in a wheelchair.
Yes.
They act like they're invisible.
Oh, yes. And when my husband would be approached by those that were discouraging him to stay with me, the even sadder thing is that I was present. I was sitting in front of him in my wheelchair, and they talked over me as if I were deaf.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
it became very complex, and you just wouldn't think it would, but it became very complex.
Yeah, and for me, just listening to both of you, just because because neither of you had ever shared this with me until today, so just listening to you gives me courage and hope for the wedding vows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Believe in love.
Because it's I as I said at the beginning of the show, obviously I fell short in that area, and
No,
But-
I'm here. I'm sitting right here.
Beautiful testament. A beautiful
and it's a beautiful
testament.
testament. Yes, it is. But,
I'm his first love. I'm his
I
first
know
Lord.
that's right.
but just and when it gets down to it in life, there's two types of people that you can be. You can either be selfless or selfish. That's really the only two types of people that there are. So just to hear the selflessness that you both had, because a lot of time when people get ill, they become the trauma of being ill makes them drive people away.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously, not only did Wilbur have the vows and the promise he made to God mean something to him, but you had to manage your emotions and how you were dealing with it, so you didn't make it any harder on him.
And I'm not going to say that that's easy, because when you have been used to being so independent, so
Mhm.
self-sufficient, you go through those moments and you have to be really candid. You're going to get angry. You're going to go through the 5 stages of grieving. There's denial, anger, bargaining, depression. And to get to acceptance, people think that you go through those 5 stages and you just go straight through. Not true. Dr. Kubler-Ross is who came up with those grieving theories, and she was applying them to more people that were facing death and knew that they were facing death rather quickly. But then she quickly realized that is something that we all go through when something traumatic happens to us.
Right.
Something life-changing. I went from a dancing scholarship, horizontal and vertical splits, to not having a range any further than my shoulders.
Right.
And now I'm a wife.
Right.
Something that I had prayed for. I mean,
Right.
I met, as my grandmother would have said, a few booger wolves along the way.
Yes.
Right.
And I stopped dating to pray for my husband, and now I cannot function in the capacity to which I felt I prayed for and called.
Yes.
Right.
So, it wasn't easy. It wasn't that I took it very well, because I went through those, you go through those stages and you stay in those first 4 a pretty good while. You loop back through, you're angry.
Right.
You're bargaining with, why did this happen to me? You're depressed. And the people who are around you, sometimes they don't completely get it.
Right.
So my husband has the patience of Job. You work with him. so
Yes.
you know that.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
And
does.
so it was, the days that he saw me struggling, he continued to encourage me. The days that he's a born comedian too. So you can't stay too sad around Wilbur anyway, because he's a born comedian.
Right.
But, we did our best.
Right.
But there were hard days. It wasn't
Right.
just so easy to be encouraged. Some days it was harder for me. Some days he came home, I was in tears, and he let me have the freedom to have those tears.
Exactly.
Some days the medication that I was on was so disoriented, or so disorienting for a period that I didn't know my nights from my days.
Right, right, yeah,
I was asleep when he left, and I was asleep when he came home.
right,
And so, and daylight savings time didn't help because it's dark.
right,
Right,
correction.
yeah,
right.
yeah,
So it wasn't as easy to always stay encouraged. I leaned on my faith and asked God a lot of questions, and thank God for the support system that I had. But there still are hard days because my disability isn't what it used to be.
right.
But there are still times that I'm challenged.
That's
And
right,
so
yeah.
it took 2 years to walk even after my hip replacements after the 13-year journey. So he chased after me like a toddler because I didn't walk as well. So he'd be running after me going, wait.
And
so-
and you know, there's trauma, so like our bodies holds trauma.
Yeah.
And so even with you getting to the point where you can walk again and taking those steps and then even maintaining that, like you said, your illness is something that you fight. But I learned here recently that, you know, especially for women, a lot of our trauma is in our hips and our thighs.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you come through something where you cannot walk and have to get back through it, those areas are harder on women.
Yes.
And that was probably definitely a trauma area. We're getting a lot of massaging and whatnot
Yes.
to get that area back. And so I've been in my
You're definitely correct. You're definitely correct.
I want to just for a moment focus on the part of the vow that says in sickness and in health.
Oh, yeah.
Because and Wilbur, just if you can elaborate a little bit on just what and again I know it was you were standing on your faith, but just the because I people tend to want to jump in front of a pastor or a preacher and get married so that they can convince the people that are watching them that they're doing the right thing.
Mhm.
When first of all, you can't lie to God.
No.
And then lying to yourself is a shame. But you can if you want to. But I the one thing I have learned in my failures is how important those vows are. And that is the one thing that I am even as we speak I'm fighting for those vows because if I would say that the Stevie Wonder song popped into my head, but just if I say those words again, I'm going to know what it entails, and that promise will be upheld.
Yeah.
So, but Wilbur, just talk a little bit about what you being a husband, being a man, and having to transverse that landscape.
Oh, that's a big part of it. Faith is a big part of it, but taking those vows serious, for better or for worse. Yes, you have the sickness and the health part, but even more than that better or for worse, capitalizes so much because that covers it all. And so those good times and those bad times, can you persevere through them? And are you really truly committed? Is the person that you're standing across from when you take those vows, are they really truly committed to this agreement, to this contract, to this covenant that's going to take place? And are they willing to hold on to that when those better, worse times happen? And so we see so much friends, family members, or counsel couples and stuff all the time that, man, any little wind blows. It's like any little thing.
I'm out of here.
And the mentality in our society now that, hey, it's nothing. The vows aren't respected, the covenant's not respected, the contract's not respected. It's just, hey, if you want to get out, hey, who's next? Let's go.
Right.
Well, that changes when you say, in sickness and in health, and the person when we were kids, like, you make me sick. No,
I know, right?
So I think the covenant, I love you said the contract, you think people, you have a job and they won't quit their job, but, marriages work. It's a job. It's something that you're committed to. You're supposed to be, you know. And so you got to rearrange it sometimes. You got to change, you know, the 60-40, the 80-20, you know,
That's
the
right.
roles will change.
That's
You know what
true.
I'm saying?
And I think people often, when you say the word contract, a covenant is a contract, but it's different. And if you look at marriage as a contract, then contracts usually have a way out that's a little bit easier than a covenant. A covenant is a bond. It's not just with you and the other person, but that is with the Lord, excuse me, in your faith. And so knowing that or understanding the difference between the covenant and the contract, they can be dual. But if you only look at it in one perspective, that's probably where most people make their mistake. Because this is not just I signed this contract, this is a business deal, because, you know, even at the same time that we were going through the hardship of my disability, you know, at some point, Wilbur was unemployed and I was the only one working and I was in my wheelchair. And the responsibility of me and just trying to keep what I could for our household and our benefits. And, you know, it was massive because I still struggled with all the pain. I still struggled with all the frustration, but I'm still thinking about the fact that, you know, my husband is a very determined person. So he's never ever been out of work long. But, you know, what I knew I had to do for our family was still, you know, a struggle in what everything I was going through, but with the support of him and the support of the Lord, the support of our families, you know, we that's only by those means that we made it through.
And that's a teaching point of a lot of this, that, you know, many times when you're going through things in a relationship, you can't start to focus on what you can't do or what the other person can do. You should put more emphasis on what you can do and what they can do.
Yes.
And focus on that and bring that more to the table. Because I had to take it as a challenge, you know. I took those vows, I'm committed to it. I know the devil doesn't want me to stand on my commitment, and there are a lot of people who don't want me to do it, and they're waiting for me to fail and trying to help me to fall.
Right.
And so, but no, you have to be strong enough to stand the storm.
True.
And to resist and to fight for what you want and what you believe in.
And it is just such a you know, a happy ending, although it's not the end. It's just a happy ending to see the two of you sitting here, and to see your health better, and to see that the appreciativeness that you both have for the covenant, you know, because you know, and another thing that I have you know, woven into the fabric of me is understanding that we render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and we render unto the Lord what's the Lord's. And the covenant belongs to the Lord. The contract belongs to Caesar. But the covenant belongs to the Lord. And when you understand that the contract is it really shouldn't even matter. It really shouldn't in the scheme of things. It really shouldn't even matter.
That's right.
But if you can, you know, like you were saying, Wilbur, if you can end the contract, what about the covenant? What about the promise to God that you've made? And that to be again transparent eats at me, even as I sit here this day. It eats at me because that's some, you know, because I didn't realize what I was saying. You know, I didn't realize what I was saying.
And that's a point. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize what the covenant. And so, and you guys, you said you counsel people now, you know, who want to enter into marriage.
Yes.
So, is there something that, you know, you're asking them to read so that way they can understand what that covenant is and what that contract is?
Truly, The 5 Love Languages by Chapman
Okay.
is a great resource. Learning people's love languages.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that because I am a person that likes to highly celebrate,
Mhm.
probably the most difficult things in 25 years to be able to try to be pliable with is he's not that person. He doesn't mind celebrating other people,
Mhm.
but he doesn't like to be celebrated as much. And I don't know what to do with that, because when his birthday comes, I will get balloons and I will, and he's like, I don't need all, he backs away from it. But I'm like, I'm blowing horns. I wake him up on his
Right.
birthday.
Right.
And I blow horns and he's like, what is going on? So I'm
He's
just
like
like,
a silent partner.
Hey, wake you from one of them seldom deep sleeps.
I just went to sleep.
I'm like, wait, this is just one day, it's your birthday and I'm going to celebrate you. So learning, trying to manage those, understanding that everybody's not like you.
Right.
And you have to show them, understand their love language and appreciate that and respect them for that. And he's still working with me on it. He still knows I like to blow my horns and things, and he tolerates it. But I try to, honor what he likes to do.
Right.
The best is if he says, I never forget one birthday, I had planned a whole bunch of stuff and we'd gone to some cabins, and he goes, you know what? I could have just stayed in the cabin the whole time. So I was like, okay, well now I know that, hey, next time it's just the cabin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, I think as women, we are kind of, we are planners, and
Yes.
and I'm a planner. I'm like, okay, we can do this, we can do this,
Yes.
we can do this, and we're
Oh,
gonna do
yes.
this, and that brings me joy.
Yeah.
And for the
And I be running behind you like, wait.
As I've gotten older, I've kind of said, okay, y'all, what would y'all like to do?
Exactly.
And if the majority say, hey, let's chill, okay, we'll chill, because
Yeah.
I can have some stuff.
Oh,
for us to do,
yes.
and I'm totally good with it. One of my good friends, she says, when she comes to visit me, she always has to take an extra day off to recuperate. And so,
That's how
timing, yeah, exactly. She's like, because you'll go here, you'll go here.
Will understand very well.
Yeah. And so, I'm trying to, get better at sitting down and just chilling. So, Five Love Languages is a good book to
And who's the book?
By Chapman.
Chapman.
by
Yes.
Chapman. So, what else do you suggest?
If I had to recommend something, I would recommend the marriage and the family books and series on a local level by Dr. Tony Evans.
Yes.
Okay,
Phenomenal.
His books, man, I have recommended them.
tapes.
Even had the devotionals, and it helped young couples even work through the workbooks. Very good series, very
Yes.
plain, gets to the
Powerful.
point. Really, if you can't go through his books and through his training on it and not get a good understanding for it, I don't know who can.
That's true.
His is real good, and on the national level, Dr. Miles Monroe.
Oh, yes.
The late great.
Yes, the late Dr.
Great.
Miles
And his
Monroe.
books on
Yes.
marriage and covenant relationships, I think are very good. So those two are good.
One of the things that Miles Monroe said that I hang on to, even as I speak to people about just relationships in general, is how he spoke about the bank of trust, and how when and how if I am if I am displaying character on an ongoing consistent basis, then I should also be putting money into the bank of trust.
Yeah.
That when that person walks up and smiles and says hi, you know what I'm saying, that I have enough money in the bank to make a withdrawal. That I should be able to make a withdrawal and say, well, my character should pay for this confusion right now.
That's right.
This is confusion.
Right, yeah.
But the money I have in the bank of trust should be able to pay for this confusion so we can get on to the next thing.
Yes.
And so that's just one
Sometimes
of the
the banks are negative.
well,
True. Money to
but
cover-
by the same token,
Yeah.
Miles Monroe was speaking about somebody that had lost his position, in the church and in the ministry because of things he had done, and how he was just jumping up and down and screaming. It's like, I'm better, I've changed. And he's like, but you still have to give up the position because the bank is empty. You have lost
Yes, you lost
that
trust.
trust,
Yeah.
and you cannot rebuild that trust by saying, trust me.
Yes.
Yes.
Not
You
just
know,
by mere
You have to
words.
show the
Yeah.
Yeah,
actions.
not by mere words.
Yeah. And trust, that's another word, which, trust is huge because it allows a person to be comfortable in their surroundings,
Yes.
and that's with anyone, whether it's with parents,
That's true.
friends, family, of course, you're special to trust. And so, when trust is broken, and that happens often, what do y'all suggest for people to do to regain that trust, to build that trust? Is there a book? Is there a work study, how does a person work? That's something very real. I mean, and it doesn't have to just be with infidelity. I mean,
Yes.
there's trust broken with finances,
That's
you
true.
know?
That's right.
And so I have a mortgage company and I've worked with people for many, many years. And I've had lots of scenarios where a person has either emailed or called me and said, you know what, we're not going to buy a house because of the trust with money,
Yes.
having a bank account that the other partner didn't know about,
Mhm.
having credit cards that the other partner did not know
Yes.
about, even having a spouse that the other
The other spouse didn't know about.
yeah.
This is true.
So,
Yeah.
or just taking all the money out the account,
Yes.
So, I've had many deals not go through with, that could have gone through
Mhm.
because of financial mistrust.
Oh, yes.
And that's huge in a relationship. So what suggestions do you guys have for that? And I'm gonna take another bite of my pizza. Y'all can eat your pizza.
Yeah, y'all need me to talk while you chew.
Yes.
Yeah, you need a chew break, cause me and Charlie can, we can chop it up for a minute. We can give you that chew break.
Bite break.
That's right. Give you that a bite break. I like
Bite
that.
break.
So yeah, but if you're not gonna take a bite break, then what do you?
I
Trust.
definitely suggest seeking counsel, seeking wise counsel, because oftentimes when trust is broken, you need someone to help you navigate.
Mhm.
You need someone to help. Some people in referee.
Yeah, referee for sure.
You need a mediator. You need to
Mhm.
seek wise counsel, and also to make sure that person is someone that usually getting a professional counselor will more ensure that you're more even keel. When you deal with someone in the family or what have you, someone is always, could be, not always, but could be more liable to be biased.
Mhm.
So
Right.
seeking wise counsel is important. You need someone to be able to see what you can't.
Right.
See the strengths and the weaknesses of you both to be able to help you navigate such a trying time, because it's not easy.
Right. And that's very true. And the counsel, has to, like I said, to be the non-biased, because
Yes.
obviously,
Mhm.
however you feel, you feel that you stand on it,
Yes.
and people are looking for validation. So
Yes.
in that heat, that moment, it's like, I did this. I'm supposed to do this, right?
Yes.
I did right?
Exactly.
And so that's very true.
The loss of trust can be regained. It's time.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that time can't heal. But it also must be earned.
Mhm.
You must show it.
That's true.
And it must be able to see it. And you must get to that point, that place that you're willing to disclose everything and work together to.
That's that transparency.
That
Disclose
transparency.
everything.
Yes.
And we got a lot of T's. Trust,
Yes.
transparency.
Yeah.
Time.
Yes. All of it takes
You know,
time.
like the famous movie cliche said that we want the truth, but we can't always handle
Can't always
it.
handle it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
I like
right.
these
What
T's.
somebody, you should want your partner, your spouse, to be honest with you. But many times people said that, but
They don't
then
wanna
when
hear
it
it.
comes, like, whoa.
That's too much. It's too much.
That's too much. I can't handle this. But
Mhm.
you want me to be honest, and I'm being honest with you because I'm trying to be transparent. I want to be real. I want to work on that trust, and so I don't need you to judge me, to belittle me, and put me down for what I'm telling you. I need you to hear it.
Yeah.
I need you to work with me to help me get through this,
Right.
I believe I can do it, particularly with your help and the help of the Lord as a spouse or partner. And let's work on this thing and let's get back to that place that we're supposed to be. And if we can do it together, it's going to help us to draw closer together.
Together, and that's another together. And really, we're here, we're here to procreate, right? And we were meant to work as a team,
Yes.
Adam and Eve,
Yes.
we weren't meant to solve problems alone. We were meant to work
Sure.
together and get through it together. And so I think, you come into a marriage as an individual, but a lot of people forget that you are truly supposed to become one, I go back to credit because I deal with that all the time, but when you're buying a home, You have two individuals that have their own individual credit, but the person with the lower credit score is how the risk is based.
That's right.
You know, you guys are both qualifying for it, but whoever has the lowest credit score,
Yeah,
that's the risk that the
That's
loan
right.
is assessed on.
that's
So
right.
you think about, you know, those relationships and people working on things together, and one person may be riskier than the other,
True.
you know? But but that relationship is gonna be based off of that risky situation, those risky things that person's going into. But that person, you know, realizing, hey, we are one in this,
It's true.
and we can bring it together,
It's true.
you know?
It's true. I heard a pastor once say, he said, you know, you're told and you have some understanding that when you get married that you're one, or it's said scripturally that you are one, but you have to always remember that it's a continued metamorphosis of
Yes,
becoming one.
right,
It's
yeah.
not an instantaneous, we've exchanged rings,
Right.
we've exchanged
Right.
vows. Oh, no, it's continuing to become, you're becoming.
Right.
Exactly, it's a metamorphosis. So if you think, I've heard people say that as probably the major misnomer, that, you know, we've gotten married, we've gotten accomplished. We talked to a young man just the other day that his fiance is so gung-ho just about the preparations for the wedding
Yeah.
and what have you. And I told him, I said, sir, you have to realize, I said, he said, I understand you guys have been playing dress up and all that for a long time. I said, oh, yes. I said, and the wedding day is game day for us. Y'all got to let us have
Yep.
that. Let us do
Yep.
that. It is. And that's what I was trying to That's what I was trying to do. I'm like, sweetie, just let her have it. And you know, you show up with your wonderful smile.
Right.
But indeed, this is game day for her.
Yeah.
It is Super
Right.
Bowl. So he said,
Yeah.
she's asking me about how many
Game
people should be
on.
at the table. And he said, the only thing I'm concerned about is our love and spending the rest of our lives together. I said, and that's wonderful. But again, realize this is game day for her, and
Yeah.
this is also a part of it.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. And so, just what would you suggest for people that are trying to choose a spouse? Because obviously you guys chose well. So obviously you have a little bit of knowledge on that topic. So what do you suggest?
I don't need another glass.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna, we only got about 10 minutes.
How do you choose
But
wisely?
I'm going to go around and refresh everyone's whatever, because I'm the maitre d' today. But while I can ask the question and leave the table. But how do you suggest people go about choosing a mate? What's important?
Definitely pray. A major detail with us is that I'm Wilbur's first girlfriend, but I had boyfriends before.
Mhm.
And I didn't choose wisely. And my grandmother would call them if they came and she didn't like them. That elder wisdom, those are booger wolves, is what she called them.
Uh-huh.
So I told God, I said, God, I can't get it right.
Mhm.
So I'm going to trust you, and I'm not going to date.
Right.
And I'm going to pray. And I fasted, and I told God I wasn't going to move until he came. And
Right.
I was in Spanish class with Wilbur for 2 years, and he and I talked on and off and what have you. And I thought he was nice looking. He thought I was attractive, but we just, I was consistently praying, and I know that he was praying for a mate as well.
Mhm.
But I told God that I wasn't going to move without him this time, because I'd done it before,
Right.
and it had not worked out well. So I wasn't going to move again.
Right.
And Wilbur and I were standing right in front of the bookstore at DBU, right, like 2 weeks before graduation. And, I could feel all these, we're just standing there, but you could cut the tension with a knife because you could feel the attraction between us.
Mhm.
And so I never forget going home that night, and in my quiet time, I told God, I said, God, I told you I'm not going to move without you.
Mhm.
And he sent me in my quiet time Psalms 45:10. And it said, oh, daughter, don't be afraid to leave your father's house. The king is enthralled with your beauty. Honor him, for he is your Lord.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, God, no, now I know I can move.
Right.
And so I grew up old fashioned, and Wilbur asked me one day, he said, if you were interested in someone, would you make the first move? Would you say anything? I said, well, hey, I'm a 90s girl, but I grew up old fashioned. So if you don't tell me that you like me first, nothing's going to happen. So he then said, Yolanda, what is it about the cards on the table?
You know, placing all your cards on the table.
Yeah, he said, I'm gonna go ahead and put all my cards on the table. I like you. I said, well, I like you too. So we can, I can go ahead and do this thing.
Right. That's all it took.
But pray,
Right.
seek God, and seek someone who has your values.
Yes.
I don't recommend that, and people say that they can find various things to work, but personally, the Bible talks about being equally yoked,
Mhm.
and it can truly make a difference in
Right.
who your source is, and if you have the same source,
Right.
that's part of the battle that you're not going in unarmed with.
And see, I think that, I think good women have middle parts. So
Yeah.
this,
I so agree.
So,
Hey,
men,
we're going
if
to
you're
go to our
looking
stylist,
for-
huh?
Men, if you're looking for a good woman, make sure she has a middle part.
I know, right?
Ladies, you want to find a man who's looking for a woman with a middle part. That's what it is. But but seriously, I think. But seriously though, I mean, people. I think you have to get past the like. You have to
Yes.
really look at what you really love about a person because the likes will change.
Yes.
So if you really love a person, then you understand that the likes are going to change. That we're all going to change.
Yes.
And I think people get caught up in the things that really don't matter.
Yes.
Yes. And Dad's favorite line, a lot of people don't possess the skill of deduction. You really have to tear apart the things that don't matter.
That's right.
So you can look at what really does matter.
That's right.
Does this person really and truly love me?
Yeah.
They're going to have faults. We know that. But do they love me enough to jump in front of that moving train or in front of the bullet? You know what I mean?
But yeah, that's very true. As a matter of fact, I tell, I go down the path as far as our funding will let me, but I do tell kids in the classroom all the time that love is an act.
Yes.
And it is truly an act, and expressed by your husband when you were ill, expressed by you to support your husband, like you said, when you had to go to work in a wheelchair. Love is what you are willing to do for someone else. One of my favorite verses in the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave."
Yes.
See and that's it. That He gave.
Yes.
He didn't dance, He didn't sing, He gave.
Right.
And what He gave was monumental.
Right.
So just to save my life. So
Right.
if you're not willing to give, it's hard to say that you love. And like you said, because feelings will change.
Oh, yeah.
There's times that you guys haven't liked each other a whole lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because like you said, Charlie, like is I like sunshine. Sometimes I like the rain. Right now I'm liking Mr. Jim Fix.
Yes,
So that don't mean I want to marry it or anything.
That's right.
But just my suggestion as someone who has failed and is striving to now correct that is to find someone that understands that you do have to you have to endure, that you have to be willing to give.
Yes.
In order to love someone, you have to be willing to give.
Yes.
And be willing to give as much as is required.
Yes.
Because there's also a saying that says, to whom much is given, much is required. So you have to be willing to give what is required. And a lot of times that's not fun, it's not easy.
Oh, no.
But it is necessary.
Indeed.
It is necessary.
Definitely necessary.
So I guess we're gonna, I know we've gone a little over because we started over, but so just kind of winding things down. 25 years, that is just, I just gotta clap for y'all one more time, and there you go, and You know, this so good. Gabe, in fact, I didn't even talk much about Gabe today. He's over there on the knobs and faders. Gabe, what you think about the covenant that these two have? And
Beautiful.
it,
Thank
it
you.
is,
Thank
it is
you.
very beautiful, you know, and, you know, but, so prayer, and those are two things that I do, daily, and I talk about it at work all the time, prayer and meditation.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says to do both, it says pray and meditate.
Right.
Night and day, as a matter of fact.
That's right. That's
But, but being at peace with yourself is essential to being in a relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
I believe that a lot of marriages, mine failed because I wasn't at peace with myself. And so when things got hard, I ran to the things of the world instead of running to my Father. I ran to the things of the world.
To your spouse.
Yeah.
Or to your spouse.
Yeah. Yeah. So just being at peace, and with your circumstance, because there's a saying that says wherever you go, there you are. You can't run from the things that the things that move you, whether
Because
they
what
move
does it
you.
say? Because problem run faster.
That's right. That's right. And then we say, say, problem run fast. Yes,
And
sir.
I'll say this quickly too, I know we're at the end, but if I could suggest a key characteristic that you want to look for, it's both spiritual and natural, but even more spiritual because it should be taught. I think it's key to seeking a spouse or mate. I think it's key to who we are.
Mhm.
It's a key to our faith and our Christianity, but you all talked about it, but it needs to be pressed even more. That's really understanding the power of self-sacrificial love.
Self-sacrificial
If you
love.
understand
Yes.
self-sacrificial love and the key role that it played with Christ in us, the key role that played, we're celebrating Black History Month.
Yeah.
Our ancestors and everything that we have right now, and that they loved us. And
That's
they-
right.
Even though they didn't know
They
who
died
we
for
were.
Yes.
They died for
Yes.
it.
Sacrifice.
Yes, they did.
For a better tomorrow for us, and understanding that and how far that can go and how we're
Right.
reaping that even today.
That's right.
That if you can find those type of characteristics, not just when it comes to you, because you'll find some men that, they'll want to do anything for you, but then you see them with other people. And in the community and
Yeah.
stuff, and you don't see those characteristics.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
see that all the time.
Yeah, all the way
With
around.
everybody
Same
all the way
person.
around.
Same
If you
person.
see that in a young lady or a young man, I
It'll come with the middle part.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's
It
right.
does.
Yeah.
You hear what I said? But, you know, unconditional.
Unconditional love,
Yes.
self-sacrificial love,
Yeah.
that they're willing to sacrifice
Yes.
today for a better tomorrow.
Yes.
And then if they understand that, they can take it to the highest level, to death do you part. Yet for Christ so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, and also you can add to that while we were yet sinners, Christ died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
when
in
you're
spite
finished,
of
Christ
all that,
died.
then you have a better understanding for the parable and illustration in the Bible of Hosea and Gomer, that in spite of all she did, and she kept leaving and coming back and you know, misrepresenting him in the body and all the things that came along, but he still took her back. And that's the representative of us as children. As the children of God today, that we do the same thing to him
You take it back.
and to the same each other, but he still every time say, hey, come on, backslider, come on back.
That's like,
Yeah.
and that's true. Are you a fan? Are you a follower? And so I think we have to, probably, and we've been talking about this at church, but you know, you have to really understand what it is to be a follower of the word.
That's true.
And if you're a follower of the word, then you're gonna do better,
That's
you know?
true.
Because if you're a complete fan of the world, and you're just
Oh.
a fan, you're just a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hoopla.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's not what it's all
Yeah.
about.
But are you truly worshiping, you know?
Willing
And
to suffer.
yes,
Yes.
exactly.
And truly suffer through, you know, again, we talked about the fact that you really want to choose someone that you have a commonality with, particularly in your faith. But if you're out there and perhaps your marriage isn't going as well as you anticipated it to be, that you have a situation where the word talks about the wife leading the unbelieving husband being that light. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't
And
give up.
we got about 2 minutes, but I gotta ask it because it's something that I know a lot of couples struggle with. Headship, you know,
Yeah, Lord.
because
We have one pilot.
because you know, Wilmer and I were discussing this before we came in on
Yeah.
here. There's a difference in being a head and being a boss.
Yes.
You know, God did not give males the right to be bosses. That was not his intention for the family.
Yeah.
So discuss headship just a little bit before we leave, because I think it's important
It is important.
for men and women to understand, the roles in marriage.
There's a difference between loving leadership and dictatorship.
Yes.
And so Wilbur is one that leads by example. His character, it's not hard to follow someone with an integral character. I'm not going to say that it's always easy because we're not going to always agree.
Right.
But if we take the time to listen to each other, even when we don't agree. Is it always easy? Oh, no. Does it always end as quickly as we want to with what we agree or disagree on? But at the end of the day, when I ask God for my husband, I know that I have the right one.
Mhm.
And so I don't have a problem trusting him. That's something that I don't have a problem trusting.
There you go.
Trusting him.
That was what I needed to hear. As we get to ending, that's what I needed to hear. Because I've seen women say, well, okay, I'll be in submission to him as he's in subjection to me, and he's in subjection to God. But the first time he makes a mistake, no, I can't do it no more. I can't do it. And being willing to trust. To trust
I
enough.
didn't say it was easy all the time.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But being willing to do the work,
Yeah.
to trust. So because the captain of a ship may go 5 degrees to the left too far. The crew's not going to mutiny because he goes 5 degrees to the left too far. You know what I'm saying? So the being ahead before God is not an easy thing for a man to do.
No.
It's not.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of responsibility. It's you are it's like you're the pastor of your family, and the same responsibility, you carry the same responsibility as someone standing in the pulpit of the church. When it comes to the people that follow you, you have a responsibility for them. So it is just I'm so glad we did this. I hopefully the people listening out there and on TikTok over there, hi y'all. I know you can't see me, but hi y'all. But I'm really glad that we did this. We're gonna have to do some things like this again. Gabe, I know you've been quiet over there, but I'm gonna pick on you again. So what you think about what we've been saying, man?
It's inspiring. I mean, it's definitely something that I look forward to in my life. Like I definitely have a desire to be a husband, have a wife one day. I'm definitely not rushing to it.
Right. And in time.
In time, yeah.
And but I think, the thing is, with anything, if you want to be good at something, it takes preparation.
Yeah.
And so,
Practice.
I get in practice. So that's
Yes.
why, a lot of people not rushing to it. You have to
Yes.
prepare yourself so you can mature
That's right.
enough to be a good mate, a
That's
good
right.
spouse to someone. And so you prepare yourself and say, okay, I can handle sacrifice. I'm not going to think about myself first. I'm going to think about my family first and what the family needs,
Right.
So, there's just, there's a lot of things that go into it. But I guess the biggest one is preparation and loving and having that self-sacrificial love.
Yes.
Tongue twister.
Say that fast 5 times.
I did too.
But y'all, we have got to go. But this is a subject we could talk about for a long time because there is a lot to it. Wilbur, Keisha, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys.
I feel like I have
for
been
having
through
us.
school with this little less than an hour. I feel like I've been to school.
Exactly.
Next,
Love language.
2 things. Number 1, being transparent. My realtor, who is also my daughter, I have purchased a home, so I will be closing tomorrow morning. And there you go. And so I just wanted to throw that out there because, as y'all know from my daughter telling y'all every week, I'm old. But it's never too late for anything.
That's right.
It's
That's
never
right.
too late for
That's
anything.
right. Never
You
too
know,
late.
so I wanted to throw that out there. And secondly, I wanted to throw out there that next week it is Valentine's, and as it is Valentine's, I think we're going to do an archive, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do an archive. So we'll have to choose what archive we will do, and then we will be back live on the 21st.
Correct, yes.
So in the meantime and in between time, what do we tell them, Charlie?
We're gonna tell them to love themselves and be at peace with themselves so they can love somebody else. And this show may even be the best archive for that Valentine.
It might be. It might be. You know what? It might be. Yeah.
We
Y'all
talked
may
about
y'all may do a repeat.
Yes, right, that's right, yes.
Until next time, y'all. This is Speaking the Fact with Charlie and JR. As my daughter so eloquently said, love yourself, because if you do, it'll be easier to love somebody else. See y'all
Amen.
next time.
That's right. Bye.
Bye, TikTok. Bye, y'all.
Yes.
Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR.
Thank you. Y'all need to eat your pizza.
Thank you for having us.